the first month of the Islamic calendar in the year 61. On the hot desert plains of Karbala, a small city just south of the current Iraqi capital of Baghdad, a small group of 73 noble individuals were massacred by an army of 70,000. The victims were respected followers of the religion of Islam. The perpetrators, led by Yazid, son of Muawiyah, claimed to follow that very same religion. The leader of the small group of men, women, and children was the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, Hussein, son of Ali. Only 50 years had passed since the death of the last messenger of God, and yet already the Islamic nation, the Ummah, was in turmoil. The events that led to the tragedies in Karbala, however, did not begin with the reign of Yazid as the Caliph. They began to unfold in the last moments of Muhammad's life. Hussein, who had inherited the qualities of his father and grandfather before him, refused the request, and in doing so put himself at risk of persecution from the Caliph. News spread across the Ummah of Hussein's stance against Yazid. The people of Kufa, which was one of the weaker links in the Caliph's empire, called upon Hussein to lead them against Yazid in a bid to overthrow the Umayyad dynasty. On the 3rd of Muharram, in the year 61, Hussein and his caravan of family members were confronted and made to stop at Karbala by the river Euphrates, for it was not only Hussein's companions that chose to accompany him, but also his sons, his women, and younger children.
On the 60th year of the Hijrah, Muawiyah, the son of Abu Sufyan, lay on his deathbed. He knew he was going to pass away. It was only a matter of time. But Muawiyah, being the man he was, couldn't rest in peace. He had one final thing to complete.
10 years earlier, before Yazid took power, Muawiyah had made a treaty with Imam Hassan alayhi salam. In it, they had agreed that once Muawiyah passed away, authority would go back to the Ahlulbayt. But Muawiyah was never going to keep his word.
He called for his son Yazid and gave him his final will. In it, he told him, "My son, I have made a kingdom for you. I have collected all the wealth in the lands, and I have removed anyone that could stand in your way. But be careful. As soon as I pass away, get the allegiance from these 4 people:
Abdurrahman, son of Abu Bakr, Abdullah, the son of Umar, Abdullah, the son of Zubair, and lastly, Imam Hussein bin Ali alayhi salam." When Muawiyah finally passed away, Yazid received the news and then recited some poetry. He was ready to take command. Yazid knew what he had to do.
Governors to get the allegiance from the 4 people Muawiyah had warned him about. When the governor of Medina, Walid bin Utbah, received the letter, he didn't know exactly what to do.
He quickly took allegiance from the people of Sham, and then sent messengers to his governors to get allegiance from the 4 people Muawiyah had warned him about. So he sent for the previous governor, Marwan ibn Hakam. He was an enemy of the Ahlulbayt, and Walid knew that Marwan could help him to get the allegiance from Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
Marwan told him that he must get allegiance from Imam Hussein before everyone finds out that Muawiyah had died. He told him to send a messenger to get Imam Hussein alayhi salam right away.
At that time, Imam Hussein alayhi salam was praying in the mosque. When he finished, the messenger told him, that he must go and see the governor. Being quite late at night, Imam knew something was not right. When asked what may be the reason, Imam Hussein alayhi salam replied,
Muawiyah must have passed away. Now his Yazid is asking for my allegiance. Imam alayhi salam then called Abu Fadl al-Abbas, Ali Akbar and some of his other relatives to go with him to the governor's house.
When they reached the gates, Imam alayhi salam told them to wait outside, but if they heard Imam's voice being raised, they should force their way in. Imam alayhi salam did this because he didn't want any bloodshed in Medina.
When Imam entered the governor's room, he saw both Walid, the governor, and Marwan, the old enemy of the Ahlulbayt. Walid read out Yazid's letter, asking for allegiance.
Imam Hussein alayhi salam then said, "Let's wait until morning." The governor agreed.
Marwan told him that he must get allegiance from Imam Hussein before everyone finds out that Muawiyah had died. He told him to send a messenger to get Imam Hussein alayhi salam right away.
He then turned back to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and pulled out his sword and shouted, "Give your allegiance or be killed." Imam alayhi salam replied, "You want to kill me?" He knew Marwan was a coward and couldn't do anything.
Imam alayhi salam then said to the governor, I am Hussein, the son of Ali and Fatima, the grandson of the Prophet of Allah. Revelation came down in my household. How can I give my allegiance to a man like Yazid, who openly drinks wine and kills innocent people?
When the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam heard voices being raised, they entered the house and escorted Imam away.
Imam Hussein went to the grave of the Prophet. There he sent his salams and told the Prophet that Yazid had now taken control and wanted his allegiance.
Imam alayhi salam wept and fell asleep on the grave. Imam alayhi salam then had a dream where he saw the Holy Prophet holding him in his arms. Imam asked the Prophet if he could stay with him, but the Holy Prophet replied, "Not yet."
First you must attain martyrdom in the way of Allah, and then come and join me and your family forever in paradise. Imam Hussein alayhi salam woke up and then went home and told his family about this dream. He told them that the time had come and that they should get ready to leave Medina.
At that point, Salma, the beloved wife of the Prophet, came to Imam alayhi salam. She said to him, "O beloved grandson, it saddens me that you leave. Wherever you go, do not go towards Iraq. Your grandfather told me you would be killed in Iraq."
Imam alayhi salam replied, "Surely it is the decree of Allah." They both then wept. Realizing that Imam alayhi salam was preparing to leave Medina, his brother Muhammad ibn Hanafiya came to see him.
He said, "O brother, you are the most dear to me. Stay away from the major cities. I fear you enter a city and its people rebel against you. Send your messengers first and see if the people respond to your invitation."
Imam Hussein alayhi salam then asked, "Where should I go?" Muhammad al-Hanafiya replied, "Go to Mecca and wait there. If you are not safe, go to Yemen. Otherwise, rest in the deserts and move one place to another."
Imam alayhi salam thanked him for his advice and agreed to head towards Mecca. That very same night, under the cover of darkness, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family and companions gathered their things and headed towards Mecca. But there was one daughter that remained behind.
Her name was Fatima Sughra. Some narrations state that Imam alayhi salam left her behind because she was very ill. Others have said that Imam alayhi salam knew his women would be paraded after his martyrdom, and because she resembled his mother, Lady Fatima, he could not bear her hijab being taken.
She pleaded not to be left alone. She wept and Imam tried to comfort her. She then asked her father, "When are you coming back?" Imam couldn't hold his tears. Imam told her to be patient. They both cried in each other's arms.
This was now the beginning of the final journey towards Karbala. Søren Kierkegaard has truly said, "The tyrant dies and his rule ends. The martyr dies and his rule begins."
Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family and companions had now set and were on their way to Mecca. Along the way, Imam Hussein alayhi salam came across a man called Abdullah bin Muti'. He was a lover of the Ahlulbayt.
On seeing Imam alayhi salam travelling with his whole family, he asked, "Where do you intend on going?" Imam alayhi salam replied, "I have decided to go to Mecca, then Allah will guide me from there." Abdullah knew that with Yazid now in power, it was not safe for Imam alayhi salam.
Abdullah replied, "May Allah bring you goodness. Go to Mecca, but stay clear from Kufa. Your father was killed there, and your brother was abandoned and wounded by the people."
He continued, "Stay near the Kaaba, for you are the master of the Arabs. The people there will be a support for you." Imam alayhi salam thanked him and continued with his journey. A few days later, Imam Hussein alayhi salam reached Mecca and entered the holy city, reciting the verses of Quran.
Once Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his camp became settled in Mecca, the people began to come and visit him. People who had lived in Mecca, as well as those who had come for Hajj. They would come to ask Imam their questions and seek any general advice.
In the meantime, news began spreading throughout the Muslim lands that Muawiyah had died and placed Yazid as his heir. When news reached Kufa, the people were not happy. Kufa was a city that had many loyal supporters of the Ahlul Bayt. People like Habib ibn Madahir, Maytham al-Tammar, Hani ibn Urwa, Abis bin Abi Shabib Shakiri, and many more.
However, at the same time, there were many people who merely hated Muawiyah and Yazid. They were willing to support anyone against the Caliphate.
Once the Kufans got news that Imam Hussein alayhi salam refused to give allegiance to Yazid and had fled to Mecca, they gathered at the house of a man called Suleiman bin Khuzail.
He stood up and said, "Muawiyah is dead, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam has refused to swear the oath of allegiance to Yazid. He has now fled to Mecca. You are his Shia and the Shia of his father. Help him and support him against the enemies."
He then told the Kufans to write letters to Imam alayhi salam, encouraging him to come to Kufa, where he will find all the support he needs. Soon everyone began sending letters. Before long, sackloads of letters were delivered to Imam alayhi salam, each urging him to come to Kufa.
Imam Hussein alayhi salam thought for a while and then prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At first he did not respond to the letters, but after so many had arrived, he knew he had to respond. Imam Hussein alayhi salam sent Muslim ibn Aqil as his ambassador.
Muslim was the cousin of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, a man he loved very much, a man whom Imam had full confidence in. He said to Muslim, I want you to go to Kufa and see if the people truly support me." Imam alayhi salam then wrote a letter and gave it to Muslim to give to the people of Kufa.
The letter explained that the people should give their allegiance to Muslim, who will then write to the Imam alayhi salam informing him of their support. Imam would then make his way to Kufa.
After a long and difficult journey, Muslim had reached Kufa and settled in the house of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. One by one, the followers of the Ahlul Bayt would come and visit him, pledging their allegiance.
It is reported that up to 18,000 people pledged their allegiance to Muslim ibn Aqil. In time, the governor of Kufa, Nu'man bin Bashir, got word that Muslim, the cousin of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, was in Kufa, rallying support for the Imam.
He quickly went to the mosque and climbed the pulpit. After praising Allah, he warned the people against rebellion and mischief. He explained that he didn't want bloodshed or war, but threatened that breaking the alliance with Yazid will lead to destruction.
A man by the name of Abdullah bin Muslim was sitting in the gathering. He was a loyal supporter of Muawiyah and Yazid. He stood up and called out, "The rebellion and mischief that you're talking about is spreading through our city. It will not stop. You need to do something. You're behaving as if you are scared."
This Abdullah ibn Muslim then wrote a letter to Yazid, informing him about Muslim ibn Aqil and the people of Kufa. He tells Yazid that the governor Nu'man is weak and that Yazid must send a powerful man who can come and stop the rebellion.
On reading this, Yazid became worried. One of his advisors, Sir John, was also his father's advisor, gave him a letter from Muawiyah. In it, Muawiyah commands that Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, who was the governor of Basra, should go and take the governorship of Kufa.
Ibn Ziyad was an evil man. He hated the Ahlulbayt and their followers. Yazid knew if anyone was able to end the rebellion in Kufa, it was Ibn Ziyad.
He sent him a letter explaining the situation with Muslim ibn Aqil and the lovers of the Ahlulbayt. On reading the letter, Ibn Ziyad made preparations to leave for Kufa right away. He put together a small army of 500 men and made his way to Kufa. He entered the city wearing a black turban and a veil over his face.
He continued, "I shall be like a merciful father for the obedient and the good, but my spear and sword will be on the head of those who disobey me. Send my message to Muslim bin Aqil. He should guard himself against my wrath."
This put fear into the hearts of many people. Ibn Ziyad was known to be a cruel man, especially against the followers of the Ahlul Bayt.